Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating the same mistakes your parents made? Why do certain emotional patterns follow you no matter how hard you try to break free? Today, I'm going to reveal the truth about what many call a family curse. But it's not what you think. This isn't about superstition or fate. It's about psychology and hidden family dynamics that silently shape your life. If you've struggled with relationships, self-worth, or finding happiness, this video might just change everything. Stay tuned to discover how to break free from your so-called family curse once and for all. We often blame external factors for our struggles, bad luck, the stars, or some mystical family curse. But the truth lies much closer to home. Your original family, the environment you grew up in, shapes your worldview, emotional responses, and relationship patterns more profoundly than any external force. Think about it. When a child grows up watching their parents struggle financially, they absorb certain beliefs about money. When they witness unhealthy conflict resolution, they internalize those patterns. This isn't fate or curse, it's psychological conditioning. Let me share something surprising. Studies show that children who witness their parents' unhealthy relationship dynamics are up to 3 times more likely to repeat those patterns in their own adult relationships. That's not a curse, that's learned behavior that feels like destiny. Many parents, without realizing it, use their children as emotional dumping grounds. Life is so hard, they say. I've sacrificed everything for you. While these statements might seem harmless, they create an invisible weight on a child's shoulders. Imagine a young girl whose mother constantly tells her about financial struggles, relationship problems, and work stress. This girl doesn't just hear these complaints, she absorbs them. She begins to feel responsible, thinking, if only I were less trouble, mum wouldn't be so stressed. This emotional burden transfer creates a foundation of guilt and inappropriate responsibility that can last a lifetime. The child grows up believing they must solve their parents' problems, creating a psychological burden that feels like a curse, but is actually a form of emotional transference. In healthy families, parents provide stability, guidance, and emotional support to their children. But in dysfunctional systems, these roles reverse. Children become emotional caretakers, practical problem solvers, and even therapists for their own parents. Picture a 10-year-old boy comforting his mother after every argument with his father, or a teenage girl managing household finances because her parents are emotionally unstable. This role reversal forces children to develop skills beyond their years, but at a tremendous cost to their emotional development. The long-term impact. As adults, these children often struggle to identify their own needs because they've been trained to prioritize others first. They become natural caregivers and empaths, but find it nearly impossible to receive care themselves. This isn't a curse, it's a profound dysfunction of family boundaries. When children become little adults, they develop a particular set of traits: hypervigilance, perfectionism, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility. They learn to read emotional cues with extraordinary precision, not for fun, but for survival. These children might appear mature and capable, receiving praise for being so grown up or such a help to mum and dad. But inside, they're sacrificing their childhood one day at a time. Consider this: children who become emotional caretakers often struggle with anxiety, depression, and difficulties forming healthy attachments later in life. Their childhood wasn't just stolen, it was exchanged for a burden no child should carry. They grow up not knowing how to play, relax, or simply be children because they were too busy being the adults in their family. Let me tell you about Sophia, a brilliant woman in her 40s. On paper, she has everything: a successful career, financial stability, and respect from colleagues. But Sophia has been through 3 failed marriages, each ending in a similar pattern of her pulling away when things got serious. Digging deeper, we discovered that Sophia grew up with a mother who was emotionally devastated after Sophia's father left. Her mother clung to Sophia, telling her repeatedly, "You're the only one I can count on. Men will always disappoint you." Sophia became her mother's emotional spouse at age 8. She listened to adult problems, offered comfort, and even started making household decisions. She sacrificed her childhood to become her mother's support system, creating a pattern that would sabotage her adult relationships for decades. Sophia developed what psychologists call an emotional guilt cycle. Every time she found happiness in a relationship, she'd experience crushing guilt. Subconsciously, she believed that her happiness came at the cost of abandoning her mother, the person she'd spent her entire life trying to save. This guilt cycle operated beneath her conscious awareness. She'd sabotage relationships through criticism, withdrawal, or creating conflicts. Then she'd return to her mother, reinforcing the unhealthy bond they shared. The most insidious part: Sophia truly believed she was cursed in relationships, never realizing that she was unconsciously choosing her mother's needs over her own happiness, just as she'd been trained to do since childhood. What Sophia experienced is what I call symbiotic strangulation, a relationship where two people are so emotionally intertwined that neither can function independently. Sophia's mother derived her sense of worth and purpose from being needed, while Sophia derived her identity from being the rescuer. This relationship dynamic doesn't just discourage independence, it actively punishes it. When Sophia showed signs of developing her own life, her mother would become depressed, physically ill, or create crises that required Sophia's intervention. Over time, this symbiotic relationship becomes like a vine choking a tree. Neither can survive without the other, but together they both suffer. The parent gets a permanent emotional caretaker, while the child gets a lifetime of guilt and the inability to form healthy attachments. Sophia's pattern in relationships followed a predictable cycle. Initial attraction and connection would give way to anxiety and withdrawal as things became serious. Why? Because deep intimacy triggered her core belief system. If I fully commit to someone else, I'm abandoning my mother. If I'm happy, I'm selfish because my mother is still suffering. If someone needs me emotionally, I must sacrifice everything to help them. These beliefs weren't conscious choices, they were psychological. Adaptations that helped her survive childhood, but destroyed her chance at adult happiness. Each time she approached true intimacy, these core beliefs activated like an internal alarm system, warning her that forming a healthy bond was somehow dangerous. The tragedy is that Sophia sincerely wanted a loving partnership, but her programming made that nearly impossible until she recognized the pattern. Breaking free from your family patterns requires 3 crucial steps. First, awareness. You must recognize that what feels normal to you might actually be deeply dysfunctional. This awareness often comes through therapy, reading, or moments of clarity when you see your patterns repeating. Second, acceptance. You must accept that you cannot rescue your parents or heal their emotional wounds. This is perhaps the most painful step, acknowledging that your sacrifice will never be enough to fix what's broken in them. Third, action. You must create healthy boundaries, even when they feel wrong, selfish, or scary. This might mean limiting contact, refusing to engage in old patterns, or learning to say no without guilt. Remember, breaking these patterns doesn't mean abandoning your family. It means establishing a healthier relationship where you're no longer sacrificing your well-being on the altar of their emotional needs. True liberation comes when you recognize a fundamental truth. You are not responsible for your parents' happiness, healing, or emotional state. You never were, even when they made you feel that you were. Imagine the freedom of knowing that you can love your family without drowning in their problems. Imagine building relationships based on mutual support rather than codependency. Imagine pursuing happiness without the weight of guilt. This journey isn't easy. There will be resistance, both from within yourself and from family members who benefit from the old dynamic. But with each step toward health, the grip of your so-called family curse weakens until finally you're free. What felt like a family curse was actually a pattern, one that you can identify and break. Your future isn't determined by your past, and healing is always possible. If this video resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Remember, you deserve happiness, healthy relationships, and freedom from the patterns that no longer serve you. This isn't just about saying no to your family curse, it's about saying yes to the life you deserve.